Morning. Hope you guys had a good weekend. I got a little backsplash tile put up. If you want to see a picture, check out my Instagram at Borderview Farms. Anyway, today's plan, honestly, I'm still making it. I think I'm going to get that 7520 that we brought back from Berkey on Friday and bring that in the shop here. Start cleaning it up and seeing what we got to do to service that. So I got to go unhook that mower somewhere, and then I think we'll bring it in here and I don't know, we'll see what we got to do. I changed my mind. I have a different project in mind. I'm not going to work on that tractor today. It involves this, at least for a second. What could I be doing with this in the middle of February, you ask? Well, we're just moving something into the shop, more or less. Okay, see that disc ripper back there? We've got some work we need to do to that. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to pull it in the shop. It's too long with this tractor to pull it in and leave it hooked up, so we're just going to pull that in the shop, unhook it, and put the tractor back where we just found it. But we'll be able to do what we need to do to it in there. I have to use the jack. Too low. Don't know how that happened, but so we got to jack it up right here. That should work. All right, I just hooked up the hoses that I need for what I'm gonna do. That's hooked up, so I just gotta take this jack down and then we should be good. All right, we did get it hooked up. There was a couple of stands on the back that I had to lift up a little bit. We're actually gonna put them back down when we get in the shop, so I just moved them to get them there. So don't break anything. You're probably wondering what we're gonna do with this, right? Well, it involved that crate sitting right in there. Right there. Dang, this thing is big. Takes up the whole shop. Okay, we're in the door. We just gotta get it unfolded. Let's see, that should be this one. There it goes. Really, I just need that basket unfolded, so we can stop right there. Okay, it's in the shop. Here is what we are doing. See this rolling basket on the back here? This thing? We have a lot of trouble with that getting plugged up with mud when we are in slightly less than desirable conditions, let's call it. So inside this crate, which I moved in here, is a scraper kit that goes inside. It's dirty in there because we've had this for a while. But basically these long bars go inside that scraper and keep it from building up with mud. So we're going to get that installed here. And I don't know what all is involved in it, but yeah, we're gonna do it. So we're gonna unhook the tractor so we can get our door closed and keep some heat in here, and we'll get started. All right, well, let's get started, I guess. Got the tractor put back in the back of the shop, and we're ready to go on this. So I need to dig through this box and find the instructions. Hopefully they're in decent shape. This crate may have sat outside for most of harvest while we were thinking we were going to get it installed before we did much with it this fall, and that never happened. So it got rained on. Should be in plastic. We should be okay, but let's dig through here. Okay, well, I found 3 boxes of hardware, but no instructions. So I guess we need to go online, see if we can find them, or look around. Maybe somebody pulled them out of here and didn't tell me. I don't know. We're gonna have to find them though. Well, guys, bad news. I can't find the directions. I couldn't find them online. I couldn't find them, the printed ones that I would assume came with this kit. So we're gonna wing it. The good news is there's not a lot of different pieces, and it's fairly self-explanatory. For example, those pieces there are almost all the same. There are 2 that are different, but they clearly replace these. Easy to tell. And look, the different one is right here. So that's good. I know where all of those go. It's pretty obvious where these scraper bars go, so I can take care of that. The question is on some of these pieces like this, not so sure about that one, or which bolts are supposed to get used where, but we'll see. We're going to take one section of this apart. We'll start with this wing. Take the old one off. We got to basically just take these bolts out, and then we'll have to take some stuff apart in the bearing there, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully it's all real self-explanatory and goes back together real easy, but yeah, gotta start somewhere. I'm gonna get the hoist because this looks heavy and I don't want to drop it on my toes. All right, so here's where we're at. I've got that one off. I took the end pieces off here in the bearings and over here. And it's rather self-explanatory. Basically the way that this one works, I can kind of show you on one that's still on there, but this bracket here is a holder for the bearing. Well, the bearing's in this outer holder here, and then there's a bolt that goes through to hold the bearing to this bracket, right? So we took this bolt off, it had this sort of there, and that went through this bearing, held it all into place. So what we need to do is replace this bearing with one of the new bearings, and the difference is the new bearings have a square hole in the center. And instead of that spacer with a bolt through the middle to hold it to these brackets, they've got this square shaft welded to them. So these square from the bearing mounts into there, and this sticks through, which we can then bolt that scraper bar to, which will keep all the mud from building up inside of the rolling baskets. So what we need to do is take our bearings and put them in the holders and then bolt them back up to the baskets. See this bearing will go in here, and we'll put this back together. And then there's 3 bolts that bolt to this and the bearing on the inside so that it holds the bearing to the basket. So, we need to do that next. Okay, so I got the bearings, new bearings in the holders, and I put them in there. I did not tighten them up because I thought it might be a good idea for this to be able to move rather freely to get it lined up and stuff. I also realized that I better put this scraper bar in before I put the last bearing on because I'll never get it in if I didn't. So that's just kind of floating in there. And then I got this one in place. I've got the new hanger here, and I moved these rubber bumpers over from that one over to the new one so that's kind of the stop mechanism for how far it will unfold. So I've got that there ready to go. I think what I want to do now is actually take this and hang it loosely up there before I put the shaft through the end of this bearing, and then we'll try and lift the rolling basket up into place and then put the hanger on the other end when we get to that point. All right, I got this one bolted up in there and slid the bearing on that side, got her held into place. I'm going to slide another piece on the end here and we'll get it bolted on. Of course, this is the point where I go back to my pile of parts over here and say, I haven't used any of these yet. I wonder what they're for. I have a pretty good idea what those bolts are for, although I should count them. These bolts here, I'm not real sure. I wonder how many of them there are. All right, so these big bolts are identical to the ones that I took off that hold this bracket in place up here. So whether they should be replaced or reuse the old ones, I don't know. These are a lock nut. Maybe you're only supposed to use them once. I don't know. I don't really think we'll have any trouble with these. They seem to hold on there pretty tight. But I've got the new ones, so maybe I should just use them, right? These other ones here, I am quite certain are the ones to bolt those scraper bars to the new bearing holders. So I figured those out. These things here, yeah, I think they're a spacer that I'm gonna guess goes in there to help keep these bolts from hitting this. So I'm gonna have to take that back off and slide the spacer on each one of these. Okay, I've got both brackets on. I've got this piece loosely bolted in place. Everything spins. It seems to be good. I'm pretty sure I figured it out even without the directions. The last thing I need to do is tighten up the bolts. I got to tighten up these that hold the bearing and these that hold that scraper bar. But yeah, this won't be too hard. I don't know if we'll get done today, but we'll get a lot of it done. All right, well, we've got this one installed. Works like it's supposed to. This bar in the center is basically just going to keep mud from getting built up in there. It'll knock stuff out if it starts to stick. We have trouble with that when we get into wet soils in the fall. Typically it's this one down here that plugs up all the time for whatever reason, but we bought this scraper kit to go in there. I don't think they offered it when we bought this new. At least I don't remember seeing it as an option. So that's why we're installing it now, and we didn't order it on it originally. Plus we probably wouldn't have known any better at the time anyway. So it's should be a really nice thing to have though. If anybody's got a 2730 Ripper and needs some of these rolling basket mounts and some bearings slightly used, I'd be happy to make you a deal on them. They've got 2 years use on them for us. We bought this in the fall of 18, so it ran just 2 years. I don't know. They worked good, just plugged up with mud when we got too wet, so that's why we got these, and now we're gonna have a bunch of spare parts, it looks like. Anyway, it is almost lunchtime, so I'm gonna go eat lunch. We'll come back and work on this some more this afternoon. All right, I'm back and ready to keep working on this rolling basket here. I think I'm gonna come down and do the one on the other end. It would be nice then to be able to fold this up, but without a tractor attached, it's gonna be sort of difficult, so we'll see if we can get to do that somehow or not. Anyway, we're gonna do this one. I did learn something in doing the one on the other side. Loosen these bolts up before you take it off. Will make it a lot easier. So I'm gonna do that, and then basically it's the same process over again. So Shouldn't take too long. All right, well, it turns out after you've done one, the next one goes much faster. I don't know, that took me maybe a half hour, where the first one over there took me 2 maybe this morning, hour and a half, I don't know. Anyway, we've got these 2 big ones here in the center to do yet. Like I said, it would be nice to fold them wings up, but I just don't have any way to do that really. So I think I might get some blocks and put under the end of this and just kind of lift it up so there's a gap in between them, and we'll call it good enough and see if we can't do the next one. Okay guys, so here's where we're at. I got all of them put in, at least initially. You guys saw the time lapse of me doing this one here. I then did that one. This one fit really well, including the ones on the ends. They also did well. See this spacer that we were talking about that fits in here? And it's in here. Well, on this one, it was too tight. I couldn't get the spacer in there and get the bearings in. See here? You see that? Yeah. This scraper is way past the bearing where it's short, or too long by quite a bit. So, I got my tape measure out. On the one where it fit, the scraper's the same part number, by the way. They're the same length. I looked at them. They're identical. So if you measure to there, to the outside, we've got about 81.5, right? Okay. Well, let's look at the next one next to it that's also supposed to be identical. We've got 79 3/4. This one's 3/4 of an inch shorter, which is why that doesn't fit. So, in order to make it fit, we've got to cut it. Basically, we've got to trim 3/4 of an inch off between both sides. Yeah. So I guess I got to take it out of there and see if we can trim it a little bit. And I'm not real happy about that, but I don't know what else to do. So I've got it out here on a bench, and I think what we're going to try and do, because we need to keep it centered with the bolt holes and these cutouts, I think we're going to try and take about 3/8 of an inch or a fuzz more off of each end and hope we don't get into that bolt hole. That should give us room to get it in and get the spacers in, which I think are important because this bar is actually what keeps the whole bearing and rolling basket from sliding on that shaft. So, yeah, we'll see what we can do here. Okay, you guys can watch from up there. So I'm just gonna cut this end off. By the way, these safety glasses, they're just for you guys, because I know if I don't wear them, somebody will give me crap about it. I know I should anyway, but see, you guys are motivating. Need a clamp. My blade's getting just small enough that it doesn't work very good for this thick cut, but There's one side. I gotta flip it around to the other side. All right, I got both sides cut. And it should work now. I'm gonna take a can of spray paint and just paint up that end because it'll rust if I don't. So I'll do that and then we'll have to let it dry. This stuff dries pretty quick. Give it 15-20 minutes and it'll be fine. Okay, that's all it takes. Okay, well, that solved my problem. It's a little tight on them bolts, but it's in there. In fact, I made it just a touch too short. There's a little bit of a gap, but that's okay. It spins, it's not hitting like it was, and it's in there. That scraper should make a big difference when we get it to the field. That just won't be until probably September. So, I'm glad to have this done, though. This job's been something I've been thinking about or been on the back of my mind for 4 months now, so it was good. Good project to do today. I am going to leave the disc ripper set here tonight. Tomorrow, I'll go through and just grease minor things. When we got done with it this fall, we just kind of parked it and haven't done anything to it. Typically, our tillage equipment, we get out before we want to start using it and go through it just to double check stuff and go through everything. Like field cultivators, we'll get out here in another month or two, right before we're ready to go to the field. So we would do that with this, obviously, in the fall or whenever we're getting ready to use it. But since it's in here and it's warm, we can hit the few grease points that there are. I think it's just 1 or 2 on each shank. There's really not much. So anyway, it's after 5. I'm going home. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Tomorrow we'll get this done and out of here, and then we'll probably bring that 7520 in and get that tractor going through the shop. So yeah, look forward to that tomorrow. Have a great night, guys, and hit the like and subscribe buttons for me if you would, please. And we'll see you tomorrow.